being employed, even just us talking about it casually gives me anxiety.
Now, I welcome back for a second time, Tyron Ash.
Plenty of high-end properties, glamorous agents and non-stop drama. The brand new series, Mega Mansion Hunters.
For me, it's a version of modern day slavery.
There was men admitting that they would go to a job and be unhappy just to provide.
But they're not providing. If that employer decides, oh, actually, we've created an AI platform that can do your fucking job for you, then you're fucked, aren't you? What you got to understand is 98% of people that exist are fucking lazy. That's the problem. You can do absolutely everything for them, but if they don't want to get out of fucking bed in the morning and do it, you can't help them. And most people don't.
Can relationships really work for the up and coming?
I think transparency is key. I think, you should be working on 100% trust. And I think if you're both active on social media, you should have nothing to hide. And I think if you're hiding stuff from each other, you've already lost.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Casita Properties, the UK leading property company when it comes to off-market discreet buy-to-let sales. All their links will be in the description below. Now I welcome back for a second time, Tyron Ash.
Hello,
we're gonna get into some juicy topics. We're going to talk about everything relevant, everything current, and we're not going to hold back. We're going to give our opinions on a lot of things going on in the world right now. Let's kick this off, mate, with our thoughts and opinions around fast, rapid growth for any entrepreneur, any business owner right now, and the importance of fast growth.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a subject that is discussed a lot within my business because obviously we have luxury real estate agents. They need to grow their own personal brands, their social brands across social media platforms. That means engaging audience, engaging sellers, engaging buyers. So it needs to happen fast. It needs to happen rapid, and it needs to happen across all platforms. So there's a number of ways that, in any business that you can engage an audience. And I think that when businesses are ignoring this as a concept, they are costing themselves hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds. So it is a very serious topic, yeah.
Do you think a lot of businesses are dragging their feet? Or do you think a lot of businesses don't want to accept that cross-platform is the new way forward to make the money that businesses do deserve? Because a lot of businesses could earn a hell of a lot of money if they accept that cross-platform gives them the eyes that they need.
I think when people understand that corporate business only now works in certain sectors, things like banking, but even then, like individual lenders, they're coming up a lot now. So when it comes to kind of other areas of business, whether that's kind of fashion, whether that's property, whether that's whatever it might be, individual personal brands are actually outperforming now corporate brands because corporate brands are extremely limited. They are, they're stopping employees putting out social media content. They're stopping personal brands. They're stopping all of that. Whereas if you've got an individual, fast-paced and adaptable business, you can be engaging hundreds of thousands of different interactions across every social media platform, and you can grow your business almost within weeks.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal.
So there is an opportunity for everyone. And we're going to talk about this. There are a lot of, and I don't like using this word, but there are a lot of naysayers, people that go, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I really believe that we're in a world now where there isn't really too many excuses that people can make now because everything is so accessible. There's nothing really you can't find out. There's nothing you really can't do. There's not a blueprint that isn't out there to some form of success. So what's your take on people that turn around and say, yeah, but Tyron, it can't be done?
What you got to understand is 98% of people that exist are fucking lazy. That's the problem. One of the best sayings I heard was, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that is the same with most people in society. They don't. You could literally lay out all the foundations, all the plan. You can give them all the learning that they need. You can map out the process. You can do absolutely everything for them. But if they don't want to get out of fucking bed in the morning and do it, you can't help them. And most people don't. They need an alarm clock to go off to tell them they need to be in an office for that time so they can sit next to someone at work, moan about being at work, look forward to pub on the Friday, and then be pissed off on Sunday because they've got to get back up and do it again on Monday. That's what people actually aspire to do.
Do you know what's crazy? I'm going to tell you. I don't think I've told you this. This is nuts. I had a video that went viral and there was a lot of comments. He's laughing. There was a lot of comments from men, especially, that came back at me and said, but I would rather go to work and be unhappy as long as I can pay the mortgage and provide for my family. I thought that was nuts. Like, I thought that was nuts. There was men admitting that they would go to a job and be unhappy just to provide.
But they're not providing, because if that employer decides, oh, actually, we've created an AI platform that can do your fucking job for you, then you're fucked, aren't you? You can't pay your mortgage. So your kids aren't having a very good Christmas this year, are they? So what part of responsibility was that when you decided you didn't want to take the risk? It's, you know, the reality is that for me, I only obviously speak from my own perspective, but I believe I have an overwhelming responsibility for not just myself, for people around me, that I have to be so successful that I can cover what everybody needs, because that's my responsibility. So when I do get to the point where I have, you know, a wife or kids or whatever might happen, I'm not going to sit here and think, God, I'm one phone call and an email away from, or a meeting from not being able to pay my fucking mortgage. Yeah. It's nuts. How do you even sleep at night?
This is crazy. this is crazy. So we were talking about, off camera, we were talking about old school terminology. And I had a conversation earlier this week. They say it's a secure thing to have a job, that you're safe if you are fully employed. But yet, where is the control? If you invest, you want to have full control of your money. If you are working for someone, you have no control. And there's this perception that being fully employed, working for a big corporate company that's been around for 30, 40 years is a safe place. Yet you've just hit the nail on the head. The day that you're called in because they've developed AI and said, look, we don't actually need many employees. We were talking about inflation, interest rate has gone up, and the basic pay has gone up. What they're going to do, they're going to cut people. That call is coming to a lot of people where they're coming in the office saying, we don't need 30 drivers, we actually only need 10.
I think Tesla just cut about 200 plus jobs.
Yeah. Where's the security in that?
And that's Tesla.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, what I think people need to wake up and understand is that most mid-level, menial jobs, whatever you want to call them, I'm not here to insult anyone, but whatever they're called, are eventually going to be replaced with AI. That's the reality. There are robots that can do your job better than you. There are shops that can tag you in and tag you out and charge you without your phone leaving your fucking pocket. Yeah. Literally, there is cars are going to be like Uber taxi drivers in the next 10 years are not even going to be needed. The car's going to pull up on its fucking own. It's going to be, there's going to be Uber drones that are going to be picking you up and dropping you where you want to go. Yeah. Like if you see like where technology is going, just for people that don't understand, technology for the easiest way to break it down is designed to shorten the length between point A and point B. Yeah. So for example, let's take Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Uber, whatever you want to call it. All that was let's take Uber. Instead of going out onto the street, getting rained on and flagging a black cab or calling one of those rubbish taxi companies that you don't know when the cab's coming, whatever. Instead, you go on your phone, bang, 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 cab arrives. Yeah. Uber Eats. Instead of going into McDonald's or into Burger King or into the local kebab shop, they now are all on an app. You just tap a couple of buttons while you're watching the television, and in 20 minutes, that food is going to arrive at your door. They are removing the middlemen in every single industry, and it is your job to either become part of that solution or you become effectively obsolete. Yeah. That's where it's going.
And you need to work smarter. A lot of people, I'll tell you what, I'll use an example. There are some people that said in some of my videos, but you need to have a good work ethic, and you should be putting all your effort into your employer and doing the best job that you can in those 9 to 10 hours that you're working. My take is there's something called smart working. If you tell an employee, look, I need this done in 4 hours, like we've said this before, haven't we? If you shorten that time and just say, look, I need it done in this period, it is doable. You just need to do less procrastinating and get the job done. It can be done. To which people turn around and say, how do you work 4 or 5 hours a day, earn a decent living, but yet we're having to do 10 hours a day? It's smart working, isn't it? Like the whole change of the mindset of applying more hours in a short period of time.
Well, I always go by a saying which I heard, which was, if you want something doing, give it to a busy person. That's what they say. And if we've all been there, right? And I can tell you, I have.
Yeah.
We've all been there. I remember when I had no job and I didn't know where I was going in life, and I was sitting at home, and that laundry would pile up in the basket, and I only needed to put one load of washing on. The dishes, I only needed to do one load of dishes, but they piled and piled and piled. And the reason being was that one job that I had 10 hours to do never got done, or it barely got done. And actually, when you're super, super busy, when you have got meeting, appointment, whatever it might be, and then you got an hour to get your fucking dishes in the dishwasher, believe me, they get in the dishwasher, because otherwise they're going to be sat there for another 10 hours. And, you know, that is the mindset of a busy person, because that then ties in with the fact that they're accountable for each part of their day. If you've got nothing to do in 10 hours, I guarantee you will do nothing in 10 hours. If you've got so much to do in 10 hours, you'll get even more done, because your productivity levels are working at 110%.
Do you know, you've just reminded me, I totally agree. You've reminded me of something which I started doing when I used to be fully employed. If you are fully employed, this is my advice. This is smart working. Walk slow at work. And why do I say walk slow? Because if you start a new job and you walk quick and you get to your destination really quick, everyone's going to go, God, he does that quick. And like I say, become the busy person. Whereas if you start off slow and someone needs a job doing, well, they're never going to know any different. Whereas if the if the quick person who walks fast everywhere suddenly slows down, they get noticed. But the person who started the job walking slow never pokes their head above the parapet. So that's called smart working. You know, you can, it's just about changing the whole thought process of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, being employed, even just us talking about it casually gives me anxiety, because the thing for me is that it's so ridiculous, because, you know, I just think to myself, you know, there are a lot of business setups now where you can be within a business partnership within that setup. So you may be self-employed, but you have the ability to earn an obscene amount of money and build your own business. And I think there's a lot of setups like this now, which can allow you to, first of all, do the things you want to do in your day. So if you've got children, you can spend more time with your children. You know, if you want to go to the gym more, you can go to the gym more. If you want to drive your cars around, you can drive your cars around, whatever it might be, you know. But when you work a corporate job or a 9-to-5 job, they expect you in at 8 or 7:30 or 8, whatever, and they'll let you go. And I use the word let. They let you go at 6 o'clock. You have half an hour for lunch. If you go to 31 minutes, your phone will be ringing. You may even face disciplinary. And you know,
how secure is that?
I mean, that is funny enough. I heard an amazing analogy of, you know, the working class or middle class system, and it was that years and years and years ago, what they used to do within slavery, and I don't want to get too much into the subject of slavery, but what they would do is they would have these slaves, and then they would give the slaves a place to live, a bit of food, and then the rest of the time they were just working them. They were working them into the ground, and obviously it was horrendous what they did. What they said was, the way that dynamics changed is, obviously that's ridiculous, a ridiculous concept now to treat another human being like that. But what they now do is they just change it the other way around. So what they do is they say, you find your own home, you find your own food. We're going to create industry that gives you just enough to pay for it.
Yeah.
For me, it's cool. It's a version of modern day slavery, because, you know, it hasn't got the oppression. It's giving people freedom to go to work, but you're going to work in an environment where it's so controlled, it's hardly worth fucking doing.
Yeah, and I want to say for everyone watching this, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring awareness to the opportunity that is out there, opposed to just going along with the system, being the sheep in the herd, opposed to being the shepherd, because there is so much opportunity. And if you're just smart and calculated about it, and what I do want to do is I want to offer a little bit of a step-by-step process. This is what I would do. If you are fully employed, my process would be work, go quiet, save, build up a buffer. I would block everyone on social media and build side businesses and have a little taster to the possibility that's out there. And believe me, you can replace your full-time income, and it will bring a bit of light to thinking, right, I'm actually in control. I don't need this job anymore.
Yeah, but do you know what? Like, I had a thing on one of my videos on TikTok, and kind of everyone was going, well, you need a job to get your income in and then you can build your business. And I kind of half agreed with what they were saying, but I half disagree, because for me, if I was absolutely adamant I wanted to build a business, right, and you can find, you just have to do a bit of research on what you want to do, well, then I'm not going to waste 10 hours in a fucking job. It ain't happening. So what I will do is I will go and work at Amazon or a warehouse or something, which will probably pay you the same fucking money. But what I'll do is I'll start at 4 a.m. and I'll pick and pack until 12, midday. I'll have had my sleep just before. And then the minute I finish midday, might have an hour nap, might have a bit of lunch, and then I'm working on my business until I go back in the warehouse. That's how I would work. You don't need a fucking social life. Nothing's happening at the pub, at the nightclub. Nothing's happening. Nothing good is going on.
Yeah.
Believe me,
Well,
I've been in enough of them.
Yeah.
I've been in enough of them. Nothing good gets done. If you want to make serious money, you have a little side job at most that just keeps your neck above water. That's it. You don't need to go on holidays. You don't need to drive a fancy car. You don't need to do any of that. Because people, the funny thing is what people don't understand, we talk about sacrifices. Sacrifices actually are not luxuries. People go, oh, I'm sacrificed because I'm not driving a nice car. That's not a sacrifice. A sacrifice is literally living almost to the penny while you build what you actually want to build. That's a sacrifice. And people aren't willing to do that. I would much rather go and work in a shitty warehouse knowing that the minute my shift finishes at 11 or 12 in the afternoon or 2 or whatever it is, I've got 7 hours to work like a fucking madman and make sure that my business is moving forward that day. Yeah. And imagine that level of accountability. You hate the fucking warehouse. It's a constant reminder that you don't want to be there. And then what bigger kick up the arse do you need? Because the problem with 9-to-5 jobs? They're too comfortable. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. Because now here's another thing I heard the other day. £100,000 a year. That is director CEO level money. Not CEO maybe, but director level money, right? On most businesses. 100,000 is a solid number. Yeah. Okay. And you've got to do pretty well. You've probably got to have been in the company for 6-7 years or whatever it is, right? And worked your way up. Do you know that is only just under $5,500 a month? Yeah, after tax.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's just over $1,000 a week.
Yeah, but that's also not to forget, because I had a lot of comments saying, well, I'm earning 120 grand a year as a director level. Yes, but you're taxed 42%, including your national insurance. You're not taking 120 grand. You're taking you're taking 56, 57.
Can't even afford a Range Rover.
So this is the truth. Like, what we want to bring here is massive awareness that you touched on. There's 3 points. I don't want to miss them. Risk to start the business, double shifts. That we're in a world where we think that you do your one shift, you 9-10 hours, and then you switch off, you go home, you have your dinner, spend time with family, watch Netflix, go to sleep. That's not the way I ever done it, because I wanted more. I would go back, spend time with the family, watch the Netflix, let them go to sleep, and then I was up again, the laptop was back open, and I had my 6-hour shift to do. And then I got my 3-4 hours sleep. But people will say, that's nuts, that's no life. But yet they're the ones that will go out on the Friday night, go see what's happening in the club, and then piss out all the money in the morning.
I think that the funny thing is like I've been in a few environments even not long ago where I went to like a friend's birthday and everyone met in like quite a lively little pub in London. And I have to say that I felt like a fish out of water, because the hardest thing for me was that, the friend I got on with and all that was cool. But then there's a lot of people that were there who were living this life like day, and there's nothing wrong with that, like if that's what makes you happy, whatever. But I don't have a lot in common with people who have that mindset, because for me, the only thing I like talking about is money, business, growth, entrepreneurship. So people go, that's me being stuck up. It's not stuck up. I don't have anything in common. So me talking to people who have a very flat kind of mindset, they're going to think this guy's nuts. And then them talking about the stuff they're into, to me, I think they're fucking nuts. Yeah. And it's like, there's no dynamic. So, I think there's a lot to be reckoned with regards to kind of associating that with, first of all, the fact that you don't need to be in those environments if you want more from your life. Yeah. And second of all, what friends and what company are you keeping?
And what's wrong with talking about positivity and money? And this is what I mean. We are in the UK where it seems to be taboo to talk about money. Like it's almost a bad thing. Like, you got to whisper it and, don't talk about money.
I only want to talk about money. Yeah. Like I don't want to talk about anything else. How much have I earned today? How much have I earned this week? How much are you going to earn this month? Is it better than last month? Was it better than this time last year? That's all I want to talk about, because I want a plan of action on how I can better myself, how I can be better. And a strong measure of doing that is your business, is your effort, is your results. Like, life is about achieving. You don't get framed, signed shirts from people who did all right at a company. You get signed frame shirts from Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi or Michael Jordan. Why? Yeah. Because they were the best, because they achieved more than everyone else. So by them achieving more, that put them higher up on the ladder of life. So we admire these people because they've gone above and beyond in their chosen field. Federer just retired, or has announced his retirement, and the fucking tennis world is literally like, oh my God, he's retiring. Can't believe it. Yeah. It's because he's so fucking good. Yeah. Average tennis player who never quite made it to Wimbledon announced his retirement, and he probably won't even get a retirement dinner by his family. Yeah. Because no one cares. I hate to say it, as much as his career probably meant a lot to him, it doesn't have the same impact because he didn't go to the levels that Nadal and Federer and Djokovic went to. They're recognised on a different level. Yeah. So then you reverse engineer, well, they didn't wake up one day and think, I'm brilliant at tennis, or Ronaldo was one day just brilliant at football. They train harder, they work harder when everyone else was partying. Anyone wants an amazing watch The Last Dance on Netflix with Michael Jordan. Watch that documentary. Because if you want to know what a winner's mindset is, I don't care if you like basketball, sport, I don't even care if you don't like sports. Watch that fucking show, that show, because that is a winner's mindset. That is someone where he was around pro ballers, and at the end of games, they were partying, they were smoking weed, they were doing different things, and he walked in, he said, I ain't doing this, and he went back and he was up training early. Kobe Bryant, same mentality. Yeah. Now, why were they better? Because they made sacrifices. People won't even sacrifice a shit job that gives them $2,000 a month. You can't live on $2,000 a month. When you're living at home with your parents and you've got no outgoings whatsoever, then you can live on it for a bit. Yeah. As soon as you've got anyone dependent on you, and your kids need food, you need to buy stuff, you need a car, you need a house, healthcare. You need healthcare. You ain't getting private healthcare on that. Yeah. No way. It eats too much.
It's like pensions. I talk a lot about, corporate pensions. People think that they're going to get anyone who's less than 40. I reckon when we get to 78, the pension won't be there. So this corporate pension, pay into the pension scheme, reinvest back into the company, and they'll match what you're doing. And they call it free money. And of course, when people hear free money, they think, well, I must invest it. Again, it comes back to control. If you're investing this money into your corporate pension, where's the control on that? It's going back into the employer. And that's another thing, is like just gaining control. And if you follow a passion, if you build something of your own, you have the decision whether you're going to do well or bad that day.
Rather than going and putting money into a pension, go and buy a shithole house in Burnley and rent it out. That will pay you more than a pension in 10 years. Yeah. Just go and do that. It'll make you another 500 quid a month profit or 400 quid a month profit or something. And it'll probably go up 5 to 10% every year. Those areas don't go down. You know, that's intelligent. It's not going to break your bank. It's probably going to give you an extra bit of income. Then you do another one next year. Then you do another one next year. Before you know it, you've got another 1,500 quid in your bank. And actually you think, do you know what? I might be able to leave this shit job and go and do something that I want to do. Like, there's lots of ways and risks you can take. But the thing is that if you are committing every week to going and get fucked with your mates, and that's costing you 100, 150 quid a week, which it does, then you got to think, right, well, that's £600 out of my account where I earn 2,000. That's left me with £1,400. Then I've got my car. My car's probably going to cost me 300, maybe 400 of insurance a month, plus fuel, another 400. You're left with about 600 quid.
Yeah.
You're literally left with about 600 quid. No wonder a week before payday, you're like, fucking hell, I need to get paid. And then you mount up debt on your credit card because you ain't got enough money to buy your lunch.
It's strange though, isn't it? You'll have people that will look at, especially, you know, like yourself, people like me, people who go to the gym, people who try to live a positive life as much as they can. You'll have what I would say, the majority of people that will go, God, why do you spend money on like prep food and like protein and going to the gym? When you could literally turn around and go, well, hang on a minute. Why do you spend money on fags and you're down the pub every Friday doing 150 that you're going to piss out on Sunday morning? Why are you questioning my positive habit, but yet we've normalised your smoking and drinking at the weekend?
I think that's a lot of it is kind of, and I grew up in that mindset. I mean, I remember thinking that, and I spent a year or a good year of kind of trying to go to the gym and partying a lot. And I realised it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. I'd done it, I got it out of my system.
Yeah.
But that's not wealth. And actually, do you know the funny thing is, and I'm talking about the top places in like Mayfair, London, where I used to go. And when you're battered, it all looks great. And you get sucked into it. And if you walk into one of those places sober, it's a fucking different view. I'm telling you, it's a different view. All the guys look like shit. Most of them look really, really unhealthy. You know, big baggy t-shirts to hide dilapidated bodies and physiques, and then you got like
I haven't heard that word
some of the, and then you got like, dilapidated.
Brutalised.
Only because I used to be one, you know. That's the thing, and you know, and the girls,
I'm gone. I'm dilapidated.
And the girls, you know, they're giving all the stories, and it's like, look, let me explain something as well. You know, a lot of girls in today's society, they kind of think that it's cool to be in these nightclubs all the time, to be in Mayfair clubs, to show on your story that you were eating at Novikov and you were eating here and you were eating there. Listen, everyone likes to go for a nice meal here and there's nothing wrong with it. If you are one of these people that are in those stories, in those places all the time, 1 minute you're flying to Dubai, then you're in Mykonos, then you're here, then you're there, and you're just chasing this party all around Europe. God, I mean, look, maybe you don't want to find a man, but it's just red flag central. Yeah. It's red flag central. And like, you know, I know, speaking to all the guys that I kind of hang around with and everything, as soon as they start seeing this trend, you know, you just categorize them as either in the clubs all the time, and then they end up just going out with people who are clubbing all the time, and it's a means to an end. You know, I think that for me, that mindset is a dangerous place to be in, and it's also a very depressing one. Because as you know, alcohol is an active depressant. If anyone, there's a reason when you go and have a big night out, you feel like shit. It's not just because you're dehydrated. It's because you've literally got a chemical depressant flooding through your body. Yeah. So when you go, oh, you know, I don't feel very good today. I feel low. I feel that. No, it's because you've been fucking getting on it for the last 20 weeks straight. Yeah. Why don't you have a 5-week break and go to the gym every day and eat healthy and do a bit of juice, and then see if you still feel the same?
What about relationships in this day and age? Because that's tough. Like you've just said, like, you know, men, it's
very hard,
are trying to, you know, be seen everywhere with, let's face it, if the sun's out, they're trying to be seen everywhere with less clothes on. I mean, it seems a very toxic world. Well, it doesn't seem, it is a toxic world.
It's cheap attention.
But what do you think? Can relationships really work for the up and coming? Like, is it even gonna? Do marriages? All of it.
I think marriage could be few and far between in like 5 years, 10 years time, because the sanctity of it is very, very different now. First of all, everyone's extremely accessible. You've got a person who could be someone's girlfriend or someone's boyfriend or someone's serious partner, and then they're still looking for validation through Instagram and through social media. So it's managing that process. I think if you're in a serious relationship with anyone, your social media should be transparent to each other. I think that nowadays, people used to go, it's a bit weird if like, your husband, or it's a bit weird if your girlfriend says, show me your messages, or who's that person. But I think, nowadays, I think transparency is key. I think, you should be working on 100% trust. And I think if you're both active on social media, you should have nothing to hide. And I think if you're hiding stuff from each other, you've already lost. Yeah. I think you've already lost. And that's the reality, is that, if you're thinking, oh yes, I've got like someone with a blue tick, or someone from a certain background, or a footballer or something like that, who's suddenly watching my stories or liking stuff, that's weird. Like, you shouldn't be in a relationship, or whatever. I just think that, it's a lot more fragile is the word. It's a lot more fragile. And I think, but I also think the people who do get good relationships together tend to be quite strong, because, they understand these things, and you've got to overcome them. And also meeting people not in an environment like the ones we just spoke about, not meeting them in a bar, not meeting them in a club. Because let's face it, the fact you've met them there in the first place isn't a great start. Yeah. In my opinion.
That's like the old, I'm going to change her, she's going to be different with me. Yeah, but she was always a stripper. It's like, it's like,
can't make a hoe a housewife.
No, it's like the environment. But it's like it's the environment though, isn't it? Like, that's the truth of it. Wherever you meet someone, you've got to look at the environment and think, how did we meet? Like, how many of these meetings happened before me, and will they ever happen after me? And I think
a lot.
Yeah, that's it. But I do want to touch on that, is that relationships nowadays, I think you need to be really strong. You need to fight. I think they are tough, and that there's going to be obstacles, and you can't get away from them. Like, if you're living, you're on social media, or you're exposed to it. And if you're not, you're over 50 years old. But it's going to be tough. So our message is that, you got to be pretty strong, like you said.
I think the reality is you've got to have very, very clear boundaries with each other. I think boundaries are very, very clear. I think that, some people, for example, there's a lot of grey areas. I mean, you could say, you might be comfortable that your girlfriend has loads of these guy friends and they message each other and all that, and that just might be normal, might be part of your social circles. Cool. It might be that the guy might have loads of these girlfriends that he knows, and they message each other, and you're just okay with it. That's cool. But then there might be the fact that both of you are not okay with any of that. And a lot of the time, that's the problem, is that everyone's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And what is your actions at your moment of weakness? What about if you've just had a blazing row and you haven't spoken all day, and then someone half decent has popped up in your DMs? Do you give that person the time of day, or do you sort it out with your partner? Because validation is very easy. So you've got to have that mental resilience to stick to your relationship, instead of satisfying a short-term validation. Go, oh, my boyfriend's been a prick, but I'll reply to this guy.
And what world we live in that we need validation. We've all been there. I don't know about you. I've been there. We need validation, because it's hard not to. Like, you live in a world where you can get a pat on the back for doing something so small, where really, take social media away and put people face to face. Not everyone's going to go, well done.
No,
you've done so well.
I think, it is that world we live in. I think you can actually tell more about someone landing on their Instagram page than you can meeting them in person now.
Yeah.
You can tell where they work, what they dress like, what type of people they hang around with, what places they go, as opposed to just meeting them going, oh, I've got a connection with that person, I'm going to give it a go. It doesn't work like that. You've got to check them out. There could be a load of red flags on there. And I know everyone's probably been there, where you've probably sort of met someone or spoke to someone, and then you've gone onto their Insta and it's like massive ick. No, not doing it. Yeah. Even though they were right.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So, Yeah.
Well, mate, we've covered off quite a lot. We've certainly changed it up from the first podcast. We've definitely got some spicy topics in there. Mate, where can people find out? Because we didn't, obviously we've got the first podcast, you've got the branding on, people can find out. But if people do want to just check you out a little bit more, find out a bit about your business, even inquire, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, so probably Instagram's the easiest. So Tyron Ash _real estate. So we sell luxury property across the UK. We're selling some of the most beautiful homes that the UK has to produce. For those that didn't watch us, we had a show on Channel 4 called Mega Mansion Hunters. Kind of the early stages of the business, that sort of demonstrated. That's still on All 4. You can stream that. Look, anyone wants to learn about selling luxury real estate, we have kind of self-employed real estate brokers that are contracted to the brokerage. We provide all the training, the processes, the business planning, and there's people earning 50, 60 grand a month with our Business Plus. So,
well, there you go. We do have a podcast one. That will be at the tag at the end of this video. For everyone who has watched, thank you so much, and we will see you all very soon.
Thanks.